Senator Schmidt. Senator Booker, you're next.
I'm getting back to the subject of antitrust.
Thank you.
I guess I just want to start with asking for unanimous consent. Maybe, Mr. Sarandos, you and I can talk about it. I just want to enter into the record statements and letters from stakeholders in the entertainment industry, from a lot of respected groups that believe they'd be harmed by this merger, and they include Cinema United, the largest trade organization in the world representing exhibitors and the owners of movie theaters, a statement from the Future Film Coalition, a national alliance representing filmmakers, producers, distributors, and other impacted workers, a letter from the National Hispanic Media Coalition, Committee for the First Amendment, Writers Guild of America West, and other orgs that are opposed to this Warner Brothers acquisition by either Netflix or Paramount, and a letter from the International Documentary Association opposing any consolidation between major studios in Hollywood, as well, finally, as a letter from the American Economic Liberties Project urging the state attorneys general to block the proposed anti-competitive Netflix Warner Brothers Discovery transition. Chairman, can I introduce these to the record?
It'll be admitted to the record without objection.
And I guess my first question would be, why such a universal set of concerns, if not fears, that organizations who represent theater companies, who represent artists, who represent producers and directors, it seems pretty universal to me that people have a level of sophistication more than any senators about your industry seem to be really concerned. Could you shed some light on that?
Yeah, I would have to start, Senator, with the fact that the industry has been under attack for 5 years now. The pandemic, a prolonged strike, production downturn for companies trying to squeeze more profits out of their businesses. Now, we've not been doing that, and we got through the strikes, and we got through the pandemic, and keep producing and keep growing. But anytime there's change, the parties that you just discussed get nervous, and rightfully so. They need to know that people are looking out for them, and we are looking out for them. I mentioned in the theaters, I have been asked to give a blood oath about the 45-day window. I think giving my testimony to you under oath is good enough.
And I've known you personally for a long time, and to be a person of integrity. But I've heard more companies come before this body and make promises pre-merger that so many of them don't follow up. So let me just
I would also add, Senator, if you don't mind, we have a long operating history of operating the way we do. So I think we could point to our track record of expansion and growth and more and adding more value to consumers.
So if I may ask a direct question, then will this be a fully exclusive 45-day theatrical window?
Fully exclusive to theaters, yes.
And will this be self-enforced? In other words, if you fall short of that?
That is the industry. It is the industry standard for self-enforcement. However, routinely, movies that underperform, the window moves a little bit. And Superman was a little shorter window, and Sinners was a little longer window, but they still could refer to it as a 45-day window.
And so I guess the trend right now, though, is away from the theater experience. We are seeing a crisis of community in general in America. Theaters used to be, along with other great American sort of institutional experiences that brought people together across backgrounds, sitting in the theater. You and I both grew up with that in a way that I think is a cherished reality. But unfortunately, we're seeing market forces which control companies that are beholden to shareholder profits. We seem to have elevated that form of capitalism when companies in the past used to have many different stakeholders. But you all are a company that's beholden to your shareholders, and doesn't that mean that the forces that are moving against theaters, why we're seeing so many closures of theaters, would be affecting your decisions as well?
No, actually, no. And in fact, now that we are in the theatrical business, we want to win in the theatrical business. We want to make movies that people care enough to go out and see. In fact, in the last couple of weeks, we've done things like we put the finale of Stranger Things in theaters around the country the weekend it came on Netflix, and thousands of people, thousands of sold-out shows, revitalized the theater business for what was otherwise going to be a soft weekend. We've done it in the past with these events. We've released our movies with the independent theater owners over the years all the time, and I think now that this is going to be part of our business, we're going to treat it as importantly as every other part of our business and win. And you do that by making movies that people care about and go out to do. I think Warner Brothers did an exceptional job of that this year. And they did $4 billion at the box office, which is one of the reasons why this company costs so much to buy. So we want to keep that going and actually improve and build on it.
And so one of the last things I want to ask in this round is that theater experience is something we're losing, this force of market forces that seem to be undermining the things that create community and connection. Another one is obviously sports. This summer, the FIFA Men's World Cup will culminate in Jersey, which I'm really proud of, as you can imagine. But next year, the women's national team, which is our most successful soccer in America, sorry fellas, but it really is, they're going to head to Brazil to compete in the FIFA Women's World Cup. Their matches, however, will only be available to watch behind a digital paywall as Netflix acquired the exclusive U.S. and Canadian broadcasting rights for the tournament. How are you going to ensure that households can really afford what to me is, in terms of my national pride, not to mention the kind of universal power that sports has created in terms of just connecting Americans? It's so central to American culture. What can you do about that? What can you tell me about that?
Yeah, well, we don't control the rights to those. As you know, we compete with other folks, all those folks I talked about earlier, for those rights. And I do think Netflix is a very affordable option for households. You can see by our large household penetration that people can afford Netflix, and we add a great deal of value to them. I know we keep talking about price, but I think it's impossible to talk about price without value. And a consumer watching Netflix spends 35 cents an hour to watch Netflix. 35 cents an hour. Just to put that in perspective, Paramount Plus is over 90 cents an hour. So I think when people talk about affordability, they're talking about, what do I get for my money? And I think Netflix has done a great job of keeping that down for the American consumers and for consumers around the world.
And so, finally, and again, you're somebody I know, so I have extraordinary integrity, I know that you have, but the reality is there seems to be everybody that I talk to that are on the artist side are seeing these trends as a way that is moving against the artist. And with your capacity for empathy, do you understand that point of view? Do you understand those fears?
I definitely understand those fears, and I'm, as you, like you, very friendly with most of the folks who create movies and television, not just for Netflix, but for others as well. And I hear about their fears. And the one thing that I could tell you, the reason I told that narrative about my life is I've made my life about getting those films made, getting those series seen. And it's very important to me, and it's very important that we do it in a fair and equitable way. And it's a very competitive landscape. When you have your show, it's not like just the two of us are buying it. When you have your show, you have many places to take it to. And it's not always perfect for everybody. But when it is, if you work at it and get it on the air, you will. Same thing with movies. Thousands and thousands of movies get submitted to Sundance every year. Only about 400 of them get seen in theaters. Thousands of them get seen because of streaming. So I do think it's important that all of these things work together. And the streaming window, or the pay TV window that Senator Lee talked about earlier, that's the value unlocked to consumers. And that helps fund. I'm very proud, I think, that we've created a model that will ensure the ongoing production and viewing of movies. That's what I'm most proud of.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Senator Booker. Senator Moody.